I know what you guys are thinking. You're like, I've seen this before. That's an Air Jordan 1 mid in a plenty of gold. I've seen that before somewhere, and you're right, you have seen that before, and I'm going to tell you all about that in this video today, because this shoe is a little bit of an echo of a previous shoe, but it's not quite a retro. There's more to it. There's more about that previous shoe and about this shoe that makes it a bit of a difference. So it isn't just a restock or a retro of a previous shoe. It's a whole new shoe in itself, but it does have that echo to somewhere else, and I'm going to take you to that place in today's video. And I'm also going to take you to that place that says there's one problem with this shoe. I think everything else on this shoe is absolutely gold and perfect. There isn't a stitch wrong. There's not a thing wrong with the shoe except for that tiny little detail that is going to have people going, I'm not so sure. So they're the two main focuses of this video today, but there's also a lot about the fabrics and the details and the branding and the design and all of that thrown in together. It makes for a cracking shoe and hopefully an enjoyable video for you guys out there as we take a close-up look at the upcoming release of the Nike Air Jordan 1 Mid White Metallic Gold. This is the Tokyo Bada 23 Sneaker Channel, Tokyo Bada 23 Sneaker Channel des. Mainichi Absurdo de Mainichi Media Design. Every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And today we've got in the spotlight, I think in October, the first drop, if I remember rightly, so that's not too far away. Now, yesterday's video was a little bit further in the distance. I tend to want to do videos 1 or 2 weeks before the drop date, but yesterday's video was close to a full month before the drop date. But it was a viewer request. I'm like, okay. Viewer wants to see it, viewer gets to see it. That's how we rock at the Tokyo Bada 23 Sneaker Channel. So if there's something out there that you guys want to see, you want me to make a video of, make sure to hit me up with a comment down below, and I'll do my best to do that for you guys out there. But like I say, this is October the 1st, so only about a week away, and it's a very nice, clean Air Jordan 1 mid that we're talking about. Now, I've looked at quite a few of the mids. To be honest, I've looked at quite a few Air Jordan 1s, whether they be low, mids, or highs in the 600 plus days that I've had this channel. I would guess about 650 days. I have to calculate that someday because I haven't missed a single day in all of that time. We're closing in on 2 years. The end of this year will be 2 years of having consecutive content every single day on YouTube. So, in that time, like I say, I've looked at a lot of Jordan 1s, whether they be lows, mids, or highs. And in particular, there was one that I looked at before and I'm like, this shoe is tying it up real close to that shoe. So usually, if I've said something controversial or sort of what's the word I'm looking for, kind of leading, either in the title or early in the video, I don't hang on until the end of the video to try and get you guys to watch all the way through what is it he's talking about. I just come straight at it at the very beginning of the video. And let's do that before we get into all the details and the branding and the structure of the shoe. Let's go for those 2 points. Now, point 1 was, have you seen this shoe before? And point 2 was that one little problem with the shoes. So point 1, the thing I'm talking about is this right here. One of my favorite Air Jordan mids of all times, the Clots, which is a beautiful shoe. Now, hopefully what I've put up behind me here is the white version, because well, it's not really a version because there's only one version, but you'll see what I mean in a minute if you don't know about this shoe. But it's got that white, beautifully textured upper on there. But the thing with it is if I bring up another picture, bang, hopefully what you can see there is the gold hits on it. That's not a different shoe. It's a thing that Clot was doing with a lot of Nike shoes, not just Jordan, but also things like Air Force Ones, where the first upper was removable to reveal something below. And in the case of these Air Jordan 1 mids, that beautiful, silky, Chinese textured upper could be peeled away to reveal gold underneath, and people could choose which elements of the shoe to peel away and reveal the gold and which not to. For example, the heel cup on the back there could be your gold hit, or the toe box or something like that. But all in all, if you think about that shoe, once you peel away all of that upper, it looks an awful lot like today's shoe, basically a gold, white and black Air Jordan 1 mid. So there's a tie up there, very similar, not quite the same, a little difference in the narrative. So it's not a retro, like I said, it's not a restock, but definitely if you're thinking, have I seen that before? Maybe it's those Clots that you've seen before. And speaking of that, point 2, like I was saying before we get into the details and the structure and the branding and all that on the shoe, was the one problem with these guys. Now I'm going to bring up a different picture, because usually the pictures I show you are like laterals and medials and outsoles and all that kind of stuff. But here's a slightly different picture that gives you a real good look at the gold on there. And I've got 2 really nice shots that really do what I want them to do. One's the toe box and one's the heel. So I'll show you both, then you can really get a feel for the texture of the gold on there. But I'm absolutely sure, I'm sure as sure can be, that you can only wear this shoe once, because once you've worn it once, that gold is going to crease, and it's going to crease real bad. I don't think it'll flake. I don't think it's going to flake off and crack, but it's definitely going to crease. So that beautiful sheen of gold that is the signature feature of this shoe has got a very short shelf life, unless you leave them on the shelf. If you just let them sit, they'll sit and sit beautiful, but as soon as you put them on your feet and wear them once, there's going to be all kinds of creasing, and I think there's going to be all kinds of damage to that gold on there. But that's just my perspective. That's just my take on these shoes, and maybe you guys either think or know different, and you'll tell me about that in the comments down below. So that's the two main points that I was thinking about, but there's also the details on the shoe. So yes, it looks like the clot, and yes, I think it's going to have a bit of trouble with the gold not weathering very well over time if they're worn. I think if they're not worn, of course, they'll be fine. But then there's also some details on the shoe that are worth looking at, and basically I'm really happy with the shoe, especially because they didn't throw in a random piece of color on there. The last like 6 months, the Jordan line, especially Jordan 1s, they've thrown in a random color somewhere. For example, they'll have a black and white shoe and they'll throw in green on the tongue branding, or they'll have an orange, black and white shoe and they'll throw in some purple or something like that, just a hit like of a stitch somewhere, or a little panel on the back, or something like the Wings logo, you know, in a different color. To be honest, that's just not my thing when it comes to shoes. It might be your thing when it comes to shoes, but it's not mine. And I like a shoe to have a sort of consistent narrative that just goes from A to B to C without some random detour into random color land, and these shoes don't do that at all. They are gold and black and white, and that's it, and you can take that to the bank, and I think that's a big plus on these shoes. Now there's a couple of places I want to look at, the four actually in particular, about that are just, like I said at the start of this video, everything about this shoe is right, and the things that I think are right. For example, here is the heel of these guys. Sometimes that tiny little rectangle that sort of draws the two swooshes from the medial and lateral sides together at the heel of the shoe, sometimes that gets a bit of treatment as far as color goes. Now on this shoe, to go with the narrative, it could have been black, white or gold, and I think they did a good job of, well, they could have done a fourth color, and that's what I mean, would have been a mistake, and I'm glad they didn't, but they went with black on this to tie those black swooshes together at the heel, and I think it's a good choice. I think gold would have been a bit too much, white would have been a bit too little, and black is just the right thing on the back there. So again, speaking of those correct decisions as far as this shoe goes, that's one of them. And the same for the Wings logo. If we go up to the side of the shoe and look at the Wings logo, it's black, and I think I'm right in saying it's embossed on the gold wing on the side there. And again, it's a good choice. They could have gone with various different things in there, white being an obvious choice, or gold and gold being another one, but both of those I think would have been a little bit less than having the black and gold there. I think the black and gold works really well because there's just enough contrast between the shiny of the gold and then the dull of the black to make it work. So again, another great choice. And then as we come down from that to the swooshes on the midfoot side, we've got the white background and the black swoosh. Very simple, because they want to focus on the gold. That's the point of the shoe. Any other sort of complications in there would take you away from the gold, but the gold's enough. They don't need anything more than that to carry this shoe. So for me, all these choices to be lower key help the gold be higher key, and I think that's a good thing. The last thing that I want to look at is go up onto the top of the tongues, because like I said, that's somewhere where sometimes people play around with Jordans of all sizes, lows, mids and highs, and in the case of these guys, again, they went with that simple white brand sort of branding patch up there at the top of the tongue with a black Jumpman on top of black Air. Very simple again, and it allows the gold to be the thing that shines literally through on the shoes. So for me, all of these little details, even though they're sort of insignificant or not particularly popping or bold, actually are incredible, because that is the main sort of story of the shoe. It's a very simple tri-color Air Jordan 1 mid, but one of those colors is gold, and that gold is allowed to be itself and shine the way it needs to shine. So it's a great looking shoe. Don't know how it's going to do as far as creasing and weathering is concerned, but as far as Air Jordan 1 mids go, it's a really nice shoe and a great shoe for me to bring you and talk about at my channel. So hopefully you guys appreciate that take. If you've got a different perspective or different thoughts about the shoe, I remember I did Ruan Wang, I think is the name of the artist from Korea, and I said a similar thing, that I didn't think the uppers on those Air Force 1s would last. There were three shoes actually. There was a Blazer Air Force 1, I think it was a Nike Air Max 90, but they were very rich colors that I could see creasing very quickly and being damaged very quickly. But maybe there's been advances in technology and I'm wrong about that, and these things are going to weather well and you can wear them as much as you like. But I don't think so. Let me know in the comments down below if you either agree or disagree. For now though, it's time for me to sign off. Thank you guys for checking out the content. I'll remind you, like I said at the top of this video, that I do this every single day, and because of that, that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.